Time to do a Q&A. Hi, my name is Lizzie Snow and I work under my artist name 4100. I create contemporary explorations of the mandala and fractal inspired artworks. I draw, paint murals internationally, release prints, products and collaborate with select brands around the world. Welcome to my YouTube. Click the mandala in the corner to subscribe to my channel as I upload art and art business videos every single week. This video has been a long time coming. I've actually asked you on Instagram a couple of times over like 2 years questions for a Q&A and then I never made the video, but luckily I screenshotted everyone's questions and then I asked again a couple of weeks ago, and so I have collated hundreds of answers into topics because lots kind of asked the same thing in different ways. So here are 25 of your questions because I just turned 25, so why not? So I've got them on my computer here and let's start. I feel like every question needs its own video, but I'm just going to answer in a couple of sentences and then I can dive into topics in other videos for the ones that need them. The first question is, when did you start drawing? So I've drawn and created and been creative my entire life, but I really started taking it seriously and I started my business when I was 18. So it was my first year of university and I just turned 25, so going on to 7 years, which is crazy. What paper do you use? For drawing, I use illustration board, and then for prints, I use Hahnemühle German etching paper, which is 100% cotton rag, has the most delicious texture, and it's perfect for limited edition prints. And then for open edition prints, I use usually a watercolor paper, so I think my current ones are Epson 300 GSM watercolor. The third question is, how do you get collaborations with such big brands? Definitely a long story, but I'll summarize. In general, they get in touch with me over email to see if we'd like to collaborate. This is definitely one of the questions that needs its own video. Basically how it happens is I'm always creating, so I'm documenting and sharing my work over a long period of time, and then once upon a time that attracted a brand to work with me, and then I document and share that and I keep going and going, and I have my own projects and I have something to offer a brand in lots of different ways, and then it kind of seems to roll on. So you work with a brand which kind of exposes you to the world, and then another one gets in touch, and then it just kind of rolls on from there. The fourth question is, are you a Canadian or a New Zealander? I was born in Canada and then brought up in New Zealand. So my entire family are Kiwis, they're New Zealanders, but my parents spent about a decade in Canada, and then they had all the babies and then decided to move back so that we could go to school in New Zealand. So I spent 22 years in New Zealand and then moved back to Canada after university, and that's where I am now. So I have citizenship in both countries, but I definitely feel like a New Zealander, even though I'm also really grateful to be a Canadian. In other words, both. Do you have any preference on white pens or markers? White pens are always really difficult because it's just so light and often really thin. It's really hard to get like an opaque, beautiful white unless you're using like twinker pens, but that's not appropriate for original and fine artworks. For fine drawings, I use Sakura of America. They have a jelly roll pen. I'll put up an image. I can't quite remember. I think it's called jelly something. And that's a really good pen. It has a nice consistency, but nothing's perfect, but it's pretty close. Then for paint pens, I've tried them all, but then I designed my own. So they're called mural pens and they're made out of a special blend of acrylic paint to have the perfect flow on walls, wood and canvas. As with all white pens, mural pens, the Sakura, every brand I've tried, they need 2 coats or maybe even 3 just to get them as opaque and thick and lovely as a black pen does. The sixth question is, do you have a business advisor or manager? And the answer is yes. Let me go and get him. This is George. He's the best in the business. Great advice. He doesn't require any payment other than treats. I have to get him one for that. But no, I don't have a business advisor. I do everything myself. I just made a real effort to learn about business, and I put equal effort into my business and my artwork, which is how I'm able to do all the things. But it's definitely always a learning process. You're never done or finished or at where you want to be. It's just a process forever. So you can definitely do it too. Just pour as much energy into it as you do other things. Number 7 is, why don't you use color in your artwork? I do. I have in the past and I continue to. I use a lot of gold at the moment, but I've also used greens and blues and pinks, all sorts of metallics. But in general, I just really love black and white. I love the contrast. I love how it gives you 2 things to work with, and so that your like patterns and creations need to be the thing that shines through. I just will always love black and white, even though I will keep experimenting with color. I'm not very good at color. I tend to like add red and then I'm like, oh, orange would look good. Oh, yellow. Green looks good next to yellow. Blue, purple, and then I'm like, oh, I've done the rainbow again. How do you draw a circle with your compass without getting a hole in the paper? So you can either embrace the hole in the paper, which is what I do most of the time. Like when it's an original artwork, that's totally okay to have a pinprick in the middle as long as it's perfectly symmetrical so that it works with the artwork. But the other thing you can do, which I do with some of my paintings, like this golden one over here, which you can't actually see, is I fold up a piece of cardboard, which is one of the cardboard stashes behind my desk, and then I wrap it in masking tape and then I masking tape it to the artwork. Then I stick the compass into this piece of card and go around as many times as I need and then peel off the masking tape cardboard. The trick here is to use a really high quality masking tape. You can get lots of different quality variations. I'll check and then I'll pop the link down below, but choose a really high quality one that peels off without breaking the paper or ripping off the paint. What is your favorite pen for drawing mandalas and line work? These ones, I'm a big fan of Sakura of America. I'm pretty sure it's a Japanese brand that kind of spread across the world. So Sakura is the Japanese brand and then Sakura of America is the one in America and Canada. They're really awesome. It's archival ink and it's a really thick, black, rich color. Pretty obsessed with it, and they're waterproof. So yeah, these are awesome. As I mentioned before, I made my own brand of paint pens and they're my favorite for paint pens. I've tried all the different brands, none stood out, and that's why I designed mural pens. I use them all the time and absolutely love them, and I know my customers do because they keep buying them and they leave really great reviews. Number 10 is, do you have an accountant? I don't have an accountant, but I have a bookkeeper. So I keep record of all of my income and expenses every year. And then at the end of the business year, so in Canada, that's the same as a normal year. In New Zealand, it's different. I send all of my record keeping to my bookkeeper and then they process it and do all the magical maths accountant things, and then they send me back paperwork to sign and with all of the numbers on, and then I go and pay my taxes. So yes, I have a bookkeeper but not an accountant. The 11th question, can you share your music playlist for drawing? I mostly listen to podcasts. There are so many good ones out there. I feel like podcasts are blowing up. What do I listen to most? I listen to Artist Decoded, Short Story Long, Yoga Girl, Gangstar Creative, TED Talks, and this really funny one called Second Date Update. It's not about art and business and yoga like the other ones are, but it's just so funny. It's a radio station in the States, and what they do is if someone has been on a date and then they can't get the call back to get a second date, they call this radio station who calls the person and like kind of asks what goes on, and then while the other person is still on the phone. And it is just so crazy, the stuff that comes out. I don't know if it's like set up or it's just super crazy because maybe people that call up in that situation are a little crazy. Anyway, highly recommend if you want a break from your thoughts or serious things. Then in terms of music, I like a real mix. So I like Bon Iver, Bob Marley, lots of kind of reggae. I like lo-fi, chill beats. I like classical music. I played the cello for 13 years, so that's like always touches me deep. And I like New Zealand tunes like 660. Do you have any other income or are you full-time? I am a full-time artist and I have no other income, but I do have multiple streams of income. So I have like original artworks, prints, collaborations, different things like that. I actually just filmed a video about my different income streams, so as soon as that's live I'll pop it up here. What do you film your art with? I always have used a DSLR until I got the iPhone 11 Pro, which is an absolute game changer. It's actually what I'm filming on right now because it's got the 4K front camera and the back camera as well, and the all the different zoom modes, so the 0.5 and then the 1 and then the 2. It's truly just replaced everything. And then I have this ring light which is giving the nice glow, and a Rode microphone. Number 14 is, how do you make prints of your art? So to summarize, I photograph or scan the artwork, edit it in Photoshop, and then have it printed with a professional printing company, or you can print it yourself. Then you sign them, package them, and send them out. I made a video of how to make prints of your art and I'll link it here. This is a good one. How do you copyright your artwork? So copyright is actually automatic. So when you create something, it is automatically yours legally. It really helps if you sign it and date it and have some kind of documentation. So a photo, which automatically has a date, that differs from a patent or a trademark, which you have to file with a legal office. So for example, 4100, my brand name, is trademarked. So copyrighted, yes, but trademarked as well, which means that I can pursue legal action or different things if someone is using that name. Number 16 is, do companies fly you places or do you fly yourself? When I'm doing a job that is specifically for a brand or a company in a certain place, then they will fly me out and cover all of the expenses, which is really awesome and has always been a dream of mine. So since that's started to come true, I'm just over the moon really. So I've been flown back and forth to New Zealand and Canada and all over New Zealand, and I have an upcoming job in Spain and an upcoming job in New York, which is really cool, but keeps being delayed because of coronavirus, but all the contracts are signed, so it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. Question 17 is, what pens do you use for your murals? I've answered this in the other ones, but I use mural pens. You can buy them individually or in a twin pack, which is more economical. Links below, or muralpens.com. What are fractals? Fractals are the main source of inspiration in my artwork. So what they are is, it's the ever repeating pattern found all throughout the universe, which is the shape of randomness. So it's not a circle, it's not a square, it's characterized by scaling and self-similarity. So a really good example is if you think of the veins in a leaf, how they follow that particular pattern, then you can see that same pattern in a branching river, in our lungs, our nervous system, in lightning strikes, weather patterns in the galaxies. It's the science and mathematics between macro, micro, how the same shapes and patterns are infinite and at every single scale. And it is mind-blowing. And the more you look into it, the more you notice fractals everywhere and the more you learn. It's very exciting. I'm a big nerd about it. Question 19 is, how long do you spend on each mandala? So I spend 3 hours on like a simple black and white drawing, which I'll link here, and then for a mural, a large mandala, it can take up to 5 days. Trying to think of a different example. Every artwork is very different. So probably my favorite ever work is the chakra mandala. So it was a black ink drawing which I then embellished with golden paint, and it's all of the prints have sold out. The original sold, it's gone forever, but that took 200 plus hours, so that was a real investment. But as soon as you learn to really love the process, the time doesn't really matter. You're just completely absorbed and in the flow state. It's awesome. Do you come back to New Zealand much? So I was coming back quite a lot for commissioned works and different things like that. I've only been in Canada, well, I guess almost 3 years, 3 years. But then obviously the virus hit, so things have been cancelled and delayed, and I don't really know what the future holds. But overall, yes, I intend to, and I do. My family's there, a lot of my clients are there, and it's where my heart lies. Do you pre-design your mandalas and artworks, or do you go for it without a plan? So I mostly go for it, and that's part of the beauty of the process, is that you just come as you are and create in the present moment, and something kind of evolves out of your mind. But for a commission or something that needs a specific look or design, I can pre-design it. So it might be as simple as setting a theme or an intention or a style, or it might be creating a draft copy of what it's going to look like if a client needs to see what it's going to look like exactly before going ahead. Number 22 is about art business. So a lot of people asked or mentioned that they're leaving their full-time job to be a full-time artist, and if I have any tips. Have a solid business plan. Be prepared to work harder than you ever have before. Be prepared that the first 3 years you might make nothing. Spend a lot of time learning about the business and entrepreneurial side of being an artist. Diversify your income and make sure that you really love making art and being an artist, because you need to ride the waves. It is not as glamorous as it might seem, and yes, it's a roller coaster. Number 23, we're getting to the end. And this question is, do you coach or offer training? And I do. So I offer a one-on-one video call. I call it a mentor call, where we can discuss all things art and business. And it's really great to deep dive into someone's situation, and I ask them to do a questionnaire beforehand so that the time spent together is super valuable, and we go through all different scenarios, and the people I've done mentor calls with have found it really helpful, and I've really loved every single one of them. Question 24 is, how do you name your artworks? It really depends. It changes depending on the theme of the artwork, what I'm inspired by, what I'm thinking about when I'm making it, or maybe once the design and idea has evolved, it might really remind me of something, or it might evoke a feeling which can change or decide on the name of the artwork. Made it to the last one. Number 25 is, what are your future plans? Can't know for certain, but I definitely have goals and dreams and a clear direction of where I'm going. So the overarching goal is to keep enjoying and growing as an artist. So that always has to be the foundational reason and purpose. And then I have lots of different things I want to do. So I want to do more solo exhibitions. I have a list of brands, collaborations, and like big dreams that I really want to do. And so I've actually been able to tick and cross through quite a few off already, but I hope that that keeps going and going. I'd also like to open like a factory style studio. So have an area where I can fling paint around and just like be creatively messy without having to be wary of wrecking the floor or getting paint on things, and then having another area where it can be presentable for collectors and visitors, have another area for packaging and shipping, have another area with a couch and a snack station, you know, just have like a big space that I can truly be in and not have to be worried about, things. Thank you for all your questions. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below if you have any other questions for a future Q&A video. I'm uploading a video every single Wednesday on art and art business. So like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.